Hey guys, it's Holly, and today we're going to talk about the most expensive LEGO Star Wars minifigures at all time. However, I thought it was a bit boring just to show photos while I did this introduction, so we're going for this. It's not much better, but that's besides the point. Today, I wanted to run down some of the most expensive Star Wars minifigures. However, I've sort of had to break it up a bit because I feel like Star Wars is one of those themes where really easily it can get inflated because there's a lot of promotional minifigures in like poly bags. There's a lot of like things from just like old sets, Comic-Con exclusives. I mean, we have Cloud City, and all of those put together takes up like half of the list, and I feel like that's a little bit unfair. So I'll be going through all of those at the end, but for the most part, I just wanted to stick to figures that were released within actual LEGO Star Wars retail sets. Starting up first at number 20, we have Light Up Darth Vader, who roughly is going to cost you around $100. And the reason that these minifigures are so expensive is because the battery died. Other than that, I mean, you could probably find one for cheaper if you didn't actually care about the light up lightsaber function. But then again, that's the whole point of the minifig. So, you know, pick your poison. At number 19, there's none other than Thrawn. I mean, Thrawn is Thrawn. I started watching Rebels and I wanted a Thrawn, so luckily I was able to get one. This minifigure, though, is probably going to go up even more when the Ahsoka show comes out. I mean, a lot of people talk about that all the time. Will they remake him? Also probably. I mean, maybe he's a little bit more accurate. This minifigure looks pretty cool. Again, very basic, but he was exclusive to the Phantom, so I mean, that's probably why. Alongside like all of the hype around the character, you know, supply versus demand. That's where we're at. At number 18 is this random Jedi Knight that I'd never seen before. Apparently he goes for $130 US. Not entirely sure why. Doesn't look that special unless you're trying to collect all the Jedi. Maybe that's why you kind of want him. Anyway, moving on. Now at number 17, we have the UCS Boba from the UCS Slave 1. Not entirely sure why. Guess it's the arm printing, especially when like you could pay $140 US for this one, or you could get number 15, which is the Cloud City, new UCS Cloud City Boba Fett. This guy is beautiful. Pretty much roughly the same cost again at $140 US. And honestly, this is a version that I really want to get. If he wasn't quite as expensive, maybe I'd pull it, but like for the most part, like I'm happy with my one without the arm printing, so I don't necessarily feel the need to go and buy this version of Boba Fett, but hands down, that is my favorite version of Boba Fett they have ever made in LEGO form, and that's really why I want him. For number 15, we're going back to the light up minifigures again. Why? I really don't know. But anyway, I get that there are Star Wars collectors who want everything, and really, again, that's I think the reason, alongside the fact that the batteries die, whatever. Anyway, he's gonna cost you around $150 US. Honestly, not worth it. At number 14, we have Darth Mulgus. I'm pretty sure I said that wrong, who is also around $150 US. And again, I've never really seen him before, like doing research for this video, so personally, I don't care about him. Maybe you do. I don't really hear much about him, so I don't think he's overall, like, I guess that popular or well wanted, I want to say, but you know, good for him. At number 13 is the original like Blue Watto, who turns out actually goes for around $160 US. I had no idea that this was such like, I guess like a rare or popular or expensive minifigure. That genuinely came as a shock to me. I still really want a Watto. I personally have no interest in buying like the older ones, except for I guess like ones that I have nostalgia to. So for me, I would much rather buy the newer, like better looking, more accurate version, but I guess apparently people want this Watto and he's hard to find. Again, you know, good for him. He was, I'm pretty sure, exclusive to one set, so again, I think that really adds to it, but why Watto out of like all of the other characters? Who knows? At number 12, we have Pre Vizsla. Now, this is a character and minifigure that I really want to get a hold of, but not for the around like $150 to $190 US that they cost for a good quality one. That to me is insane. Originally, didn't care about this character. One of my old mods and viewers, Mateo, always like talked about him, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna look him up, and then I realized how expensive he was. I watched the Clone Wars, and I was like, damn, that guy's kind of cool. Also voiced by Jon Favreau, which was quite fun. At number 11, we have my favorite minifigure on this list, and one that I personally own and did fork out a ton of money for, and that is of course Queen Amidala. Now, I absolutely love this minifigure, and several months ago I made a TikTok basically explaining, hey, I really want to get her, but she's so expensive, and back then she cost around like 110 Australian dollars, and oh gosh, that was good times, because these days she's going to cost you $170 US for a good condition one, and the reason as well, again, why she's so expensive. Exclusively to one set in like 2012, I believe it was. And of course, the headpiece and the skirt piece can easily rub. So in order to get a good condition one, it is kind of hard to do. Now, I bought mine under Bricks and Minifigs, which was great because it meant I could see her in person. I could check out the quality. Otherwise, I feel like you're going to have to go for like a new or sealed one, or just make sure you can see a photo of her before purchasing her. At number 10 is Phase 2 Captain Rex, and I really think we're probably going to get one in 2023, but for now, he's worth a lot of money. Just like Queen Amidala, he's $170 approximately to get one, and this is one of those minifigures that I feel like constantly pops up for sale. Unlike Queen Amidala, where like she's popular and people want her and people buy her, Captain Rex is one that I often see people trying to get rid of, whether that be on Whatnot or Bricklink or Facebook Marketplace or whatever. I constantly see Captain Rexes going around, and the only reason he's expensive is again that whole supply and demand thing. I definitely think there's more of them floating around than some of the other minifigures on this list, but there are just so many people that want him, especially with the 501st pack. Like, I really want one, but I'm holding out at this point. Like with Cody just being a thing, like I can see Rex happening, and while I do think this older version of Rex is probably overall gonna look better in terms of helmet, I would much rather wait and save myself the money. Like, I'm not too fussed on getting him, but he is one of those like dream minifigures that I would love to have. At number 9 is Jedi Bobbin. Besides the fact that I guess like Jedi Bob has become a meme, can someone tell me why this minifigure is so popular? Like, yeah, it's fun and it's funny and like it's a cool thing, like haha, Jedi Bob from like that one gunship. Otherwise, I really don't get it. I don't think I ever will, but that's fine. I mean, I guess it's fun. Yeah, that's all I have to say about Jedi Bob. Number 8, we have Lando, again from that UCS Cloud City. This guy is gorgeous. Again, I really want him. I really wish like I was like into Lego Star Wars and buying it at the time Cloud City came out, because like I personally really enjoyed the set. I never got the hate that it got, and I feel like now people love it. I personally have always loved it. I thought it was really awesome. I probably wouldn't have purchased the set because it would have been too expensive for me at the time, but that's okay. What's not okay though is that the price of this Lando minifigure is $210 US. And look, I get it, because we barely ever do Cloud City and we barely ever do Lando, and like this one's amazing. Firstly, Lego, why aren't we doing more Cloud City sets? I mean, this minifigure is gorgeous. These outfits are iconic. Lando is such an iconic character. I want to see more of him, so why are we locking this behind that set? At number 7 is Angry Jango Fett from like that Hyperdrive set. Now this is the most recent version of Jango Fett that we got, and you can't even see the head. This minifigure absolutely baffles me why it's so expensive. Again, it's I think one of those like, oh, it's an exclusive part, oh, it's a variant type of version, I want to have them all type of thing. Sort of like black haired Kanan and brown haired Kanan, but at least like that is a bit more interesting of a difference than angry head Jango and regular Jango. If I just showed you it without this little head next to it, you wouldn't know the difference, because Jango Fett wears a helmet. Just like Rex as well, he's another one that like I feel like constantly comes up for sale. Like, I don't know how many of them there are, considering it was a pretty expensive set, but he's floating around there. At number 6, however, is a minifigure that I completely understand the hype for, and that is Rebels Ahsoka. Oh my goodness, she's gorgeous, and she just keeps going up in price. I really want to get her, but there is like a really limited amount that are floating around that I guess are from countries where it's like cheaper for me to like pay for shipping, and it's frightening because I really want her. I'm watching Rebels. Ahsoka's amazing. Ahsoka's one of my favorite Star Wars characters of all time. I'd like to have her, but I don't want to pay that money for her. And then like Queen Amidala, you have the whole problem with like the printing rubbing off on her headpiece. Man, I've seen this minifigure in person a couple of times at conventions and things like that. She's gorgeous. I want her so badly. But again, it sort of plays in my head. I'm like, you can't pay that much money for a minifigure. That doesn't make any sense. But I get it for her. I'm just glad that the Clone Wars one came in cheaper sets, because that's another one that I really, really like as a minifigure of Ahsoka. Not that that's relevant. Anyway, speaking of black-haired Kanan, he's at number 5. Now, black-haired Kanan has a really big, like, price range. There's quite a lot of them in Australia, so at least for me, like, they're relatively cheap compared to other countries, because, like, the cheapest in the US is, like, $300, but then Australia's is, like, $200, like, US dollars. So I put the range down between, like, $230 and $300. This doesn't make any sense. At one point in time, I did own a black-haired Kanan because he came in the ghost that I got, so I got to see it, I got to have it as like part of my review, which was really cool, but like it was inaccurate, so I was like, well, why would I want him and not like brown-haired Kanan? So I sold him to my friend Tech at Brickworld Chicago, and then I got myself a brown-haired Kanan, and look at me, happy days. I'm not one of those people that cares about like variations of things. If you do, props to you. I would rather save myself some money and have an accurate minifigure than like a cool exclusive version. that's just me. Speaking of inaccurate versions, number 4, Hoth Smooth Head Leia. Like, this piece is, like, cool. I mean, like, that's about it. Otherwise, again, a little bit inaccurate. Not a huge fan. I guess it's just like a part of Lego Star Wars history though, and like that's why it's like kind of like popular and expensive, maybe. At number 3, we have the original Jango Fett from Jango Fett Slave 1. Now, I didn't actually realize how expensive this minifigure was a while ago. I saw it on Facebook Marketplace for like 1,000 Australian dollars, and admittedly at the time, I'm pretty sure he was sitting around like $200 to $300, and like that's Australian dollars, and now he's worth 400 US dollars. Where this sudden interest in Jango Fett has come from, I don't know. Maybe it's because everyone's talking about him. Maybe it's because everyone's excited for episode 2, you know? Maybe it's because it's 20 years since Attack of the Clones. I don't know, but either way, this minifigure, I mean, he's cool, was exclusive to one set. That set is also really expensive. It's just one of those things that I personally don't think I'm ever gonna understand, but it's one of the original things, so like there's that. And number 2, we have Smooth Head Leia. For the same reasons as Hoth Leia, like it's just that piece. I mean, that's really all I have to say for her. So moving on to number 1, and that is Finch Dallo at $700 US. Why? Because people just want something cool and unique and rare. That's literally it. Does anyone care about this character? No. Does everyone care about the fact that he was exclusive to like one variation of this Star Wars sequel set that like no one liked the sets or the movies for? Yeah, that's it. People just want something exclusive. That's the only reason he's expensive. Is it worth it? No. The only reason this minifigure even made this list is for all of the Star Wars completionists out there who just want like every single thing, which is cool, it's fine, but the amount of money that you are willing to spend for that stuff is insane. That's why I'm glad that I'm more into Harry Potter, because there is less of us that are like that. So that is mainly it for the regular retail sets besides the Cloud City set. Now this was a Lego store exclusive back in like I think 2002 or 2003, and there aren't many of these sets, and that really is why these minifigures are so expensive. However, they have shot up significantly in the last several years. I really don't understand it. Now the most expensive of course being Cloud City Boba Fett, which for some reason everyone makes a really big deal out of. I mean, yeah, he's cool. Again, I've seen it in person. The arm printing's quite nice. It's one of the first minifigures with arm printing, but at the same time, the amount of money that this minifigure costs for like what you get, it's stupid. Second to that, but significantly cheaper, is Cloud City Luke, who goes for around 750 US dollars, which like is a little bit more reasonable, but again, don't really get it. Same with Lando from Cloud City, who's around 460, but he admittedly is more expensive because you've got to worry about the condition of the cape, so I'll give that to him. And then there's also Cloud City Leia at 230, which is a lot easier to stomach, but like the price of these minifigures is ridiculous. Now lastly, we have the promotional minifigures, but before we even get to that, I want to give a special mention to the Yuletide Pilot, because he didn't really fit into any of these categories, considering he was from the 2019 Employee Star Wars gift. This set is incredible. I really like it. I love holiday themed things. I want this holiday X-Wing, but I'm not paying $700 to $800 US dollars for a holiday X-Wing, nor am I going to be paying $500 US dollars for this minifigure alone. Now this one I get, because this set was only available to like Lego employees as well as Lego ambassadors, and I guess anyone else who like works closely with the company, so it's a lot more limited. There also, you know, are going to be a lot less people willing to sell this set given the fact that it's Star Wars. I feel like Lego Star Wars is one of those really beloved things, so chances are there are going to be a lot less people trying to get rid of it, as there would be some of the other Lego employee gifts. One of the cheaper, more expensive Lego Star Wars promotional minifigures is the female Padawan, and this was from the Yoda Chronicles set. She's not even like that special. I don't think any parts are exclusive, so I don't know why she's 150 US dollars. You tell me. Next up, we have Darth Revan, which is around 235 US dollars for a sealed poly bag, but this was a May 4th poly bag from memory, and he's pretty cool, and at least he's like one of the cheaper items because it was May 4th and not something a bit harder to have accessed. Above that is the Black VIP minifigure, which was a giveaway sort of thing when you bought the UCS Falcon when it first came out, and you're supposed to get like a ton of discounts. There's also like a little build that it comes along with, and it's like 280 US dollars. This thing doesn't really make sense to me. I mean, you could probably just like get a custom printed version of somewhere if you could be bothered to draw up the design. Coming in hot, we have White Boba for around $250 to $300 US. I mean, this minifigure is cool. I'm surprised that they've like never redone him, considering like Black Series, I'm pretty sure, have recently done like a White Boba Fett like action figure type of thing. I mean, White Boba's cool and all, but again, I'm more of like an accurate person. I guess it's just awesome because it's like, ooh, like Star Wars history type of thing. Anyway, and it's at this point in this video where I feel like you can really see how, like, I guess casual and relaxed of a Star Wars collector I am. Now, we all know people like clones, but why is the clone Shadow Off Trooper $300? May the 4th promotion or not, this doesn't make sense to be this price. I'm sorry. Chrome Vader for $400 US on the other hand, that does make sense because the chrome can like sort of wear off a little bit. Again, you could get him in a poly bag, so I think that's the safer option if you do want to buy this minifigure. Chrome Vader though, and Gold C-3PO, who is again above Darth Vader at a big jump of like $2,000 US for a sealed one. You can get some open ones for significantly cheaper, but if you want like a fresh condition one, that's how much it's going to cost you. Both of these minifigures are gorgeous. Both of these are genius, and I think it was really, really cool how they actually like handed them out. Like, it was a very limited thing. They just slid them inside like sealed sets. So there's potentially more out there inside some of the sealed set copies that I guess like investors or some collectors have, which is a really cool thought. Not that I'm aware of like anyone that's like ever found one, but I really like the way that these were done, and I think it was super cool. And even though they're really expensive, I really would like Lego to do something like that again, because I think it's just very fun. And then finally, we have the most expensive Lego Star Wars minifigure of all time, which was a promotional I Heart New York Yoda. Now, I replicated this torso at the minifigure factory for like my own little minifigure, and that's the closest I'm ever going to get to this thing. This minifigure has been like knocked off and like ripped off so many times, which I think is one of the reasons why the price probably inflated a little bit, because if you want an authentic one like in its bag, you've got to pay $6,000, or you can risk it and get a cheaper one. So pro tip, do what I did and just like draw it on the torso, and then if you want a complete Yoda, of course get his head, get the legs, and don't just make a sig fig of yourself like I did. But those are all of the most expensive Lego Star Wars minifigures to ever exist. There are so many of them, it's insane, and that is the reason as well why I try and stay very restricted, because I just look at this list and I'm like, this is horrible. So the more casual and the more laid back and restrictive I am with myself, the better I will be in the long run. But if you guys enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up and let me know what the most expensive Lego minifigure you have ever purchased is in the comments down below. And until next time, I'll see you later.